Is it Fabiano? Fabiano?
Fabiano,
Fabiano. Cheers for coming on
uh,
today, brother. How's life
thank you.
treating you, my friend?
I have nothing to complain right now. Just like, here and there, normal life. Like it cannot be perfect, but like the little imperfections, has to be there anyway to remind us, like we're still humans. So I just accept, like a little troubles here and there, like daily. I deal with them, get over, move forward. So that's my thing.
Brilliant, man. So, for those in the UK that might not know who you are, just tell us a little bit about your background and sort of who you are and what you do.
My name is Fabiano Scherner, and I'm a fourth degree black belt in Jiu Jitsu. Got my black belt in from Brazilian top team, Murilo Bustamante, Roberto Bebel, Murilo Rupp, uh, Sergio Sá, and Ricardo Liborio back in 2002. And I fought like several different shows around the world. Um, UFC, IFL, Jungle Fight in Brazil, Mecca, several other smaller shows. Like, you know, don't remember all their names right now, but in Jiu-Jitsu, I achieved like so many different um, titles. The only ones I never achieved that is the ADCC. Uh, I didn't get that one. Got close though, but couldn't get those medals. And I haven't been yet, but I'm planning on compete Europeans, So that one I don't have on my record, but I'm planning. It's just because I didn't participate yet, So, but I'm planning every year, planning to go. Then the fighters get a fight, and then I have to change plans, So kind of sometimes, But I have my time right now, like competing, is just. Uh, as a hobby, pretty much, So fighters, students, they come first, So I gotta be there for them now.
Yeah.
I have other other time that I can do my hobby, which is still grappling. So
Goddamn
uh,
fighters. Fighters stopping
yeah,
you from
my
doing the grappling.
yeah. And my background, my best background is jiu-jitsu. Of course, when I moved to Portland, Oregon, I was training at Team Quest, back in 2008, and then I got on that room like full of wrestlers, Then I I got to learn a lot of wrestling, and for MMA, you had to train kickboxing, or Thai boxing, boxing. I lived in Holland for a year back in 2006, and then in Thailand another year, to get a better stand up. You know, I've been in UK before. Uh, I had some guys, from the gym. Like I was in back then in 2006. They competed at Cage Warriors. Uh, yeah, so I was cornering them then. You know,
What an
I did never.
experience.
It was. I like England. London is pretty beautiful. I fought one time in the cage rage against Gilbert Ivel. It was kind of, I didn't like the experience because my son born the same day, the 2 hours before the fight. So my wife was in Holland having all sort of trouble by herself, and I was in a fight. But um, besides the fight, everything else about England, I love. It was kind of was pretty rough to understand the taxi drivers, on the countryside. Like when they were near like Liverpool, like we were staying in this hotel, nearby, and we took this cabin, and this old Englishman, I'm guessing about his 70s, he's kept talking to me and my manager. My manager's at the time was a Dutch person, and I was at one point my manager looked at me, and he we were speaking English, to each other, me and my manager, and my manager asked us like, "Can you understand any word that he's saying?" Like, I have no clue what he's saying, man. That's weird, right? Because then you're really like have a true English person speaking English to you,
Yeah,
and we could understand. But me and my manager using the English to communicate to each other. We just, so it was I still have that in my mind. That made me think, and I was, you know what, I, I I can see that because I have a hard time to speak Portuguese to Portuguese people, So yeah,
makes sense.
but it was, yeah, but I I love it, England. Uh, Planning to come back, hopefully one of my fighters, get a fight, UFC London or something, then I'll make it back there.
Yeah, no, that would be cool, man. Because I'd definitely come and try and meet you if you was to come over here in UFC, for UFC London or something like that. Because I think UFC now is trying to expand quite a lot and get some events going in the UK. Obviously, we had I think it was the Liverpool event with Darren Till, and then I think from there they've kind of tried to get a few UFC events up and running. So hopefully the sport's expanding and growing, and we can see a lot more events coming up over here. Do you know what I mean? Rather than it all kind of being in America, because I hate those watching UFC at 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning over here, like having to stay up. Obviously, I watched Paige fight, and it was like 4 in the morning here, and I'm like, God damn, like I need to sleep, but it's just worth watching. The card was so good. And then obviously TJ and Henry Cejudo, which was a good match over in 30 seconds. But staying up for those things. So if they can try and get more shows and big names from America over to England for the events, I think that'd be a really cool move for the business and really cool for the fans over here as well.
Yeah, well, yeah, UFC is expanding for sure, and every time they get like a big name, a big fighter in a country within the United States, they will for sure bring that, showing there. Like they have McGregor in Ireland, now they have uh, Khabib, so they are going to Russia. They're already in Brazil. They have several Brazilians in there. So yeah, every time like there's a huge name fighter, that carries the whole country, you know, behind him. Yeah, that's right now. Uh, yeah, I mean, like Europe seems like like the new or the next step for UFC. I believe they still have like kind of some trouble getting like few countries in Europe. They still not allowing MMA like
Yeah,
France. So
strange,
kind
very
of,
strange.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, kickboxing though, like yeah, you're okay getting people knocked down, giving 10 seconds count, get him up again, keep that brain damage going. But MMA is too violent,
Yeah,
you
strange,
know. So,
strange
yeah,
logic. I think. So what got you into sort of martial arts, and what started you on your journey? When did you know there was something that you wanted to do for the majority of your lifetime? Really?
yeah. I started in sports like really early. I started playing basketball when I was 7 years old in school, and then I also got into volleyball, handball, and some other stuff. As a Brazilian, as weird as it sounds, I always hated soccer. You guys call soccer or football
Football,
in
yeah,
England?
the correct term, yeah, football.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, the United States they call soccer. I don't know why, but anyway, yeah. So I guess I was just like too big for the sport. So I stuck at it. But at the age 14, then I really wanted to learn martial arts, and um, before that, I was watching Tyson, killing people, in the ring, and I really want to like do boxing. But the closest boxing, like a real boxing gym, to the town I born was 150 miles away.
Wow.
So yeah, there was a coach. He was willing to take me, to live, in that uh, city with a scholarship and everything. Uh, even like getting a college later. But my parents like they said no, that's you know they didn't accept. At the age 18, then I kind of for basketball, volleyball, like basketball, definitely I got short. I'm 6'4" tall, but basketball they're a lot taller than that. And for volleyball, I'm kind of like just too heavy, so I couldn't jump very high. So that kind of, you know, so I didn't. I kept playing for fun. But then there was a taekwondo master moved into town, and he was legit. Uh, so I started training taekwondo with that guy. So that it got me pretty hooked up. I did a couple of tournaments, and I got DQ because I kicked the guys too hard. Back then there was no like there was no like weight division, so there was like just belt division, right? And then I got some like of course smaller guys to go against, and they're like just too fast. They were outpointing me, and I was like, oh, screw this thing. I just kicked them as hard as I could, and I got the cue. So it's like kind of suck, because I want to do like a martial art that I could really put all the power I had. I always been like a really, really strong kid. I could, at the age of 16, 17, I could move cars, on
Wow.
my own, just lift and move them. So I got suspended in school for moving, our Portuguese teacher, Scar. I was mad at him, and, he has this Fiat, and I got in the back, and I just like moving him all the way around between the trees, and of course the principal, found out who it was. I got 10 days suspension, but so I would really want that, and at the age, I think it was 21, 22 back then. Um, then I moved to a bigger town in a different state, which was Florianopolis in South Brazil, and I was at I got this night job at the hotel, and they had a cable TV there. Like in a low season, there was no like the hotel even like we're there just to be there. There was no one in the hotel, and we could watch TV and stuff. So I'm just flipping channels on the remote, and all of a sudden I see UFC São Paulo, and that was 1999 when Vitor Belfort, knocked out Vanderlei Silva,
Yeah.
and I'm watching that. It's like, what the hell is that? Like never seen that before. I had no idea. And they're talking about like Brazilians and Carson Gracie, Jiu Jitsu, like Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, like what is I never heard about that. What is that? And I look those guys in the cage, they could do whatever, like I want to do that thing, and so I want to do that thing, and I start looking around, so I was living in a part of the island. There was no like any martial arts gym around, and like uh, my taekwondo coach, he had his friend was living actually in the same uh, uh, spot in the island. So he got me in contact with him, and I told him, it's like, hey, I like taekwondo, but I want to really do, vale tudo, the MMA, right? And he looked at me like, I don't know much about it, but let me do some research, and then I'll, let's see what I come up with. Um, he talks some friends, whatever. He talks to you. He comes back and is like, "Yeah, man. If you wanna get in that thing, like you definitely have to do jiu-jitsu because they're gonna eat you alive if you don't. Just to stand up is not gonna be enough for you. Like, all right, okay, so." where do I find it? So in Florianopolis, there was a Gracie gym, Gracie Baja gym, and that was the first. So I got in the bus, like 1 hour away, in downtown, and I got the gym that day, and there's some purple belt, coaching the class. I came there, I sat down, watching, the class, and he comes up to me like, "Hey, how can I help you?" It's like, "Well, I wanna, I wanna fight MMA. I need to learn ground." He looked at me. He was like, "Yeah, you know what, man? No, jiu-jitsu is not really for big guys."
Hmm.
And I was like, "Huh?" Like, yeah, jiu-jitsu is where, the small guy beat the big guy, blah, 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 all that. I was like, well, that sucks. So that means you don't wanna train me? I was like, well, what's the deal here? It's like, maybe you should look for a karate gym or something, I was like, damn, I just like got really bummed, and I turned around. I kept that in mind, and years years later, then now I'm 26 years old. You know what? The time is going. You know, I have to do this no matter what the outcome will be. But I don't want to be like 50 years old thinking about it. Why I didn't do that when I was younger,
Yeah.
right? So now I can't. So I have to do it, or I'll never forgive myself. To not trying at least. So I go back, to a different gym. Then they're not related to Gracie. Of course, like every single black belt, somehow they're gonna be related to the Gracies. But it was not a Gracie gym. So I get there, and I was very welcoming, and start training, and I got hooked on it. I just, start training uh, like several times a day, two,
Wow.
3 times. Yeah. I was like, I had to like sleep. So I'll get the bus in the morning, get from work like 7 in the morning, then to sleep for 2 hours, get the bus, to be downtown for the noon training, and then do that training. I'll bring all this, my own food, eat and sleep on the mat, and then get the later training, and I'll just go back home, like right before it goes, pretty much I go work, I'll get some more sleep at work then, when I could, but it was pretty rough, that's um, I was already married back then, and uh, the wife didn't take very well because she didn't like the way I was pretty much like never home, So like, hey, honey, we're gonna get some milk at the store, and come back 4 hours later, you know.
So where have
So,
you been?
but yeah, with the gi, like so yeah. Then I start traveling to Rio, to get some more training as well, and that's when I met Liborio, and Liborio he saw potential on me and invited me to move to Rio and start training a Brazilian top team. And my gym in South Brazil was affiliated to them, so Liborio he got me this room on his family has this old house, and it was like pretty much empty, so you can stay here, and like just go training, So that's what I did. I was the first one getting in the gym in the morning, and the last one to leave the mat, So uh, and because of that, I started pretty much like winning every single tournament, what's possible.
Hmm.
Doing very well at the gym as well in all the way possible. I became Rodrigo Nogueira's number one sparring. So like I was 4 times with him in Japan back then, on his corner and helping sparring. His first loss he got on Pride was against Emelianenko Fedor. And I couldn't really help in that camp much. I'm not saying that he lost the fight because I wasn't in camp. It was just I blew up my ACL and I couldn't really help. But all the other fights, he took, I was with him in the camp that he got the win. Those uh, and so I got my black belt under 40 years of training.
Wow.
Uh, it was exactly 3 years and 11 months from zero
Yeah.
to the black belt jiu-jitsu. So there's a ranking out there. I think B, BJ, BJEE or BJJ Europe, Eastern Europe made a rank, and I believe I'm number 4 on that rank. I'm kind of I'm proud about things I did in jiu-jitsu and MMA as well. I
Yeah.
retired from MMA, but it took me here. When people say you probably hear that a lot. Jiu-jitsu saved my life. Pretty much like it saved and gave me a better life for sure. I'm here today in Portland, Oregon, and I run a Gracie Barra gym, and it's being pretty successful. I have almost 50 professional fighters in here, 3 of them in UFC, and we have 7 guys on Bellator, and then we had people in the last season of PFL and a lot of other shows. So we're trying to expand now. Get some guys in uh, Japan, China. It's just kind of hard to reach out for those guys in there. But uh, is that's pretty much like it
Your
happened in my
story.
life.
Yeah.
It was a lot of work, a lot of sweat. Uh, for sure that I would do all over again. If I go back in time, I would listen a little better. To my coaches back then. Uh, when I signed up with UFC, you know, Liborio told me, he thought it was a little bit too early. I was 5-1, and then I was so excited because I always said I watch UFC and I want to be there. And I'll tell you, 4 years later, starting training, I was there and I was like, I can't miss it. But I knew that it was like almost 31 when I did my debut in UFC. I knew I had one shot, one run. You
Yeah.
know, if I miss that, it would be hard to make it back. It didn't work out very well, so I should listen to my coach Liborio. And get like some, like more fights. Get more mature. And I was like, I am like physical gifted. And I believe that. All I needed, was just to put everything I had, in my heart in the ring. But you know, these days, I can tell you the game uh, is mental. It's like how many times you see the guy, he's not very well prepared, and he's still beating the guy that is on his prime. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? It's like it's all like how you know tough, how good, how smart you can be during the fight. And that is something you cannot step over is time on inside the cage will give you that experience, where your brain, your mind will get more um, comfortable
Mm.
in the fight. In the beginning, things like just go fast, sometimes like you don't even think, like there's a lot of muscle memory in there. With the time, then the experience comes, and you start being a lot smarter. So I kind of step over some things I shouldn't, and I believe that was one of the things that kind of my MMA career didn't go that well as I expected. But like I said, I don't regret. I'm happy with, because my first goal was to get in there to answer my question if I could do it, and getting old, being happy, say I did,
Yeah.
so
I mean,
I got my answer.
that's a lot of things as well. Like a lot of people won't ever achieve 5% of what you've achieved. Do you know what I mean? So you got to give yourself a pat on the back and be like, I made that goal, I set it, and I made it happen. And with that, like obviously maybe your coach you should have listened to, but then maybe you wouldn't have ever got that second shot at getting in there. So you kind of had to take it because you wanted to at least experience it.
Yeah, I left everything behind to try it. I sold my house in Brazil to put into the training everything. Uh, you know, and then of course, like down the road, ran out of money. There was like some rough times where, I was starving for 2 3 days, until I passed out at the mat, training. And then my coach like, "Hey, what's going on with you?" Like, "Oh, I just got no food," because I was like 4 days away from getting my sponsored money. And then I didn't want to tell anyone, and then he got so mad, I was like, what, you know,
What
like,
are you,
hey, here,
yeah, what are you
go
doing?
buy some. Yeah, exactly, but it's your sometimes it's your mind, I have a goal and you want to achieve that, and you don't really want to bother too many people around you, like with your dreams,
Mm,
there are people they're willing to help, but also, like when you try by yourself, uh, that gives you the the feeling of achievement, and and there are some people they might help you having something, you know they have some interest behind the help. There's one thing I asked one time Liborio, is like, so what do I owe you,
yeah,
what do you want from me? And he's like, what do you mean? It's like, you can't just be helping me, because you're helping. It's like, that you don't see that, uh, often, And he's like, I don't want anything. He's like, no, you want something. Like, no way you do, all you're doing for me, yeah, for without having this. Like, well, let's put it this way. Uh, Someday in your life, someone will need some help, just like you need, to achieve your goals. What I want from you, I want you to do the same for that person I'm doing right now for you.
I think
It's
that's
like,
one of the things as well. Is like one of the kind of negatives of human behavior is almost where people usually help because they've got that ulterior motive. They're like, oh yeah, I'll give you this money, but you need to do something for me. And it's a
exactly.
rarity, when someone comes across and goes, no, no, don't worry about it. Like, I'm here to help you. I don't want anything back. Just remember this, like when someone needs help from you, offer them your help for nothing. Do you know what I mean? Do it out of the kindness of your heart rather than because you know that you
Hmm.
need something to gain. So I always think that's one of the negatives. I've got a lot of friends that are similar to that in the sense of they always kind of want something for doing something for me, but then I've got like the couple of friends who are just like, no, no, don't worry about it, mate. Like this is fine. It's on me, and they're like my best friends, whereas my other friends are kind of shooed away a bit because of that attitude. People should want to help each other out and help each other climb the table and be successful in whatever fields they are. Without wanting anything in return.
Um, well, and that it clicked in my mind. And sure, down the road they got some kids. I met them like they're training in their garage, and like, so I started helping out training, and they became black belts, and they changed their life. They moved out of Brazil to go coach in Abu Dhabi. They became very successful. So, and they also asked me like, we owe so much. What do you want from us? Like I told them the same, and
Mm.
hey, there'll be a day, someone will knock at your door, uh, or even like if they don't knock your door, but you recognize that person needs some help, and just do the same then. So you guys owe me nothing. So just and they're like, okay, and they did. They did. So it's pretty interesting. Like when you pass that way, I think people should try. Do a little bit more of that.
Mm.
Uh, not just take it. Should like give.
Mm.
And I really, I all I did for them is to, show them, what I knew in jiu-jitsu. And when the opportunity came, to work somewhere else, I showed them, hey, here's the way, go do your journey,
That's it.
go, yeah, yeah. It's pretty cool.
So
And
what was it?
at
Sorry, go on. Carry on.
now at the gym here with these fighters, is kind of the same, And being a coach is, I'll tell you, is good. The same time, like I suffer when these guys, can't not achieve, their goals. Uh, it's a lot harder to be a coach than a fighter. You know, a fighter,
Because that's what I
you
was
get
going
in
to
there,
ask
and
you
then,
about. Is
okay,
sorry, is like with Paige obviously fighting recently, you was in her corner. What was that like for you? Kind of, is that hard or obviously she got the win, which is great. Did the game plan go to plan? Was you like nervous watching as well? Did you find it more difficult? Would you rather have been in there competing than watching? All those sorts of things.
yeah, this last fight, I was pretty confident that we could win that fight. But one thing we knew, myself, the stand up coaching, like the first round, Rachel would take away from Paige, because Rachel comes really strong. But like a second round, third round, like Rachel, she's not able to keep the same pace. Uh, in the other side, Paige, like she can perform, the same for 3 rounds. So that's a really good thing for her. Now, when Paige first came to me, she did the first fight. Uh, we work, in the grappling, but she still had that alpha male style, which is, like don't be on the bottom and do whatever you can to get out there, get back to your feet. Uh, and I truly believe her. Like the best thing to do in MMA, if you're on the ground, is to be on top, right? I really like be on the bottom is not a good thing these days, in MMA. So, but the way like she was doing, like alpha male, like they were exposed themselves a lot, and sometimes I could just be like in the hard positions, and like getting away from chokes, armbars. So they'll spend a lot of time on that round, defending themselves.
Mm.
So for Rachel's fight, we Paige was working, after she broke her arm. She went through 2 different surgeries, everything. So I was very concerned about, taking this fight. Rachel's a tough fighter, and we're like, we got like 5 weeks, 5 weeks, because she couldn't do much before. She was grappling, but it will get like some pain in the arm, and the broken arm and everything. So that just slowed down. It got to the point where I got Paige like, I really think we shouldn't do this, like, and she's like, no, I want to do it. I can do it. It's like, well, I will believe you if you're going to see my doctor. I told her, because I trust that guy. If he tells me he can do it, then I was okay, then I will do it, right? So, but I don't want to throw you there having any uh,
Risks or
concerns,
injuries, yeah.
yeah, exactly, So she went and he told me, it's like, well, her arm will be good for the day of the fight, but it's not like a totally heal yet. So I'll sign her to the fight and everything, but how are you going to conduct the the whole camp, right? And the sparring, because she cannot really hit that bone in the sparring, right? So we got those football shin protection, we put in her arm, did so she wouldn't. And but she really started sparring like 5 weeks before the fight, uh, and I was like, we have a short time. What are you gonna do? So I really put a lot of effort on the grappling, and hey, here's what's gonna happen. She will take you down. So I gave her some tools that she could use to escape from the bottom, like that heel hook she tried in the first round when Rachel was on the mount position. So I told her like, you go for the heel hook. If it's there, crank it, try to tap it out. But if it's not there, use that to get up, right? Because she has to defend, so there's no way like she'll try to keep you in the bottom. You know, I put Paige like in the chokes position, where she got choked many times defending, but over and over and over to the point like it was she was all sore around the neck, jaw, everything. But she never complained though. She was one of those, like she trains hard, she does not complain. Uh, she pushes through, and she likes the cage, she likes the stage, and I know like she performs even better than she does in the gym. She's one of those fighters, like she might be performing not very well at the gym, but when she gets there under those fights, that's when she shines. So the game plan, you know was like, hey, we gotta survive the first round. We knew that. We knew like first round would be Rachel, right? Second round, then you're gonna start like pushing the pace on her, right? And if you have opportunity to get on top, or take her back, here's what you're gonna do. You're not gonna try to choke her, right away and be on bottom, get stuck in the bottom, and she ended up on top of you again. You're gonna move into the top position, and you're gonna keep that top position because that's going to take a lot away from Rachel. And that's so Paige got taken down again second round, and then but she had opportunity to take Rachel's back, and that's like okay, now it's starting. We're gonna start winning this fight, and I did not expect, the armbar. I really didn't, So, but that is a position that Paige does very well. When she on somebody's back and they try to, bump her off, she'll slide into the armbar, and she does very well, and it worked. I, in my opinion, I always tell, my female fighters, if you got to choose between a choke or a joint submission, go for the choke. Choke works against every single one, no matter size, male, female, whatever, you know. But the females, if you try an armbar, they're so flexible
Mm.
and they can handle pain a lot better than males do. So they, you know, like I just don't believe as much in like in submissions like that as I believe in chokes. But she made it work. It was so tight. She even popped the other girl's arm. So it was a really good outcome. I did expect her to win. This fight. And it showed that she improved on the grappling, you know, and now like she's very excited to, push even more in the grappling. She noticed that the training we did for this camp, towards the camp, getting those positions and not let it go. Like when you have a dominant position in your opponent, you do everything to keep that, and keep that person in the deep waters, because that takes a lot from them, and start breaking them down physically and mentally. So
Tiring,
yeah,
tiring being on the
yeah,
bottom.
She was back in the gym on that very Monday, excited to fight again. So,
Because obviously you've got Austin training there as well, haven't you? Is
yeah,
that
Austin, he's the her husband is he has his pro debut in Bellator in 2 weeks. Yeah,
nice?
on the 15th on the Connecticut card. So Austin is one of the hardest worker in MMA that I ever met. He does everything he needs to be done. He listens to the coaches. He never makes a decision without consulting coaches. So everything like he's like really focused. He knows what he wants, and I'm telling you, he's a beast. He's a beast. When he first got to my gym, and I saw like, yeah, this, I can tell, like this guy has a future. He's gonna be one of the top ones. It's just like you can't really explain sometimes. I remember when I watched John Jones, way back then, his second fight, I think, I was watching the UFC with Thiago Tavares. He was my teammate in Brazil, and then I told him it's like that guy will be a champion. He's like, how do you know? Like, hard to me to explain, but he has something else the other fighters they don't. So he just have it. So
It's
it's not yeah.
almost like it comes
So
naturally to him. Do you know what I mean? Like in that competitive state, in that moment, they just kind of everything just is smooth and to an extent, or they can just read people really well. It's like so hard to tell what separates from those people that are working really hard in there to people that have just got that natural gift. They can just see things, predict things, and get you in sticky situations. And John Jones is like that. Definitely, I think people. I don't know. It's just everything looks so effortless. Do you know what I mean? Like that people have to work so hard for.
yeah, when you see someone uh, walk into that cage, you get a guy like Brandon Vera, and do that to Brandon Vera, on his early stage of his career, John Jones, and Brandon Vera been fighting already, like several, like so many tough people in there. Uh, and then it's like if you don't see that, there's no lucky on something like that. You can like, oh yeah, it was a lucky shot. There's a lucky shot, really? Land an elbow on somebody's face and break the guy's face?
Mm.
How that can be lucky, right? Nah. Yeah, you know what I mean? So, like, I watched that and I'm watching that fight and then I heard the crack and, my friend was like, what happened? It's like, something broke in there. I think he broke his face or something. And yeah, he did. Um, but that's how like you get like someone performing way above, so that person, that athlete, that fighter, he has more than the others, and it's every sport, always gonna be, they always gonna have guys like that. They exceed the average. They exceed, not like by is by a lot sometimes. So.
Do you still have Chael training at your gym?
Chael, we trained together since 2008. We started training at Quest, as teammates, and then later, 2009, although 2008, I started running Jiu Jitsu programming there, and I had only like a couple classes a week, and then no gi, and then another gi classes, So he started training Jiu Jitsu after he lost his first fight to Anderson Silva. And after that, then he got two good wins. I think one was Brian Stan by submission. The other one was Michael Bisping. Then he fought again. Uh, and so he left Quest and started training in one of the affiliates in Quest for years. And then I left Quest and I opened my own gym. And then I was actually just working in Jiu Jitsu. Then there was some day, Chael just walked in there and he's like, "Hey, coach, I need some help here. I just got assigned to fight Vitor Belfort. Can I do my camp with you?" And my gym was just not prepared for those. It was just mats, and but at least I have padded the walls, not like that, not that like short pad, like a half pad like just gym do. I had like a tall, pads on the walls. Like, okay, the fight didn't happen because yeah, that's when he got suspended for 2 years. He was like I don't know, I'm over, I'm done. Like who's gonna ever like have me again? It's like hey, I think like just chill out right now. Do you wanna you know put more focus in the grappling? It's like yeah, hey, you have what you have to do right now, right? Do not have much. And then like it just like came like every day at the gym, start training. That's when he got this grappling match against Galvão, then Babalu. So he started getting really excited about it. A lot of people they ask me, like, uh, "Are you okay, Trent Shell?" Like he did talk so much BS about Brazilians and all of that. Like, do you guys realize that two of his most famous videos, back then, I I gave him the idea and I shot the videos. There's a yeah, there's one video like he gets his dummy where he put the Brazilian jersey uh, football team on him. That team was sponsored Anderson back then,
Yeah.
and he just comes from behind and throws, the dummy, and comes to the camera. So those things, and I try to tell people like, hey, if you get to know the real Chell, not the character
Yeah.
puts in, So is you guys have no idea, He's a great person, He's been great for the gym. He doesn't like to expose, things that he does for teammates, other people. He doesn't go out there, oh, I did this for that, for this one, that, like I'll tell you, his heart is
Good.
gigantic, yeah, and he really like if Gracie Barra actually, here in Portland is still open these days. That has a lot to do with him, because there was some rough times back then. Well, then we had to go through, and Chael was there, to stand up for the team, for the gym. So,
Does he? Do you know if he's going to be fighting Tito Ortiz at all? Because Tito's been talking about it quite a lot on social media, and I don't know what's going on there, or if you had an inside scoop. You don't have to say if you know or don't know. I'm just interested.
against who?
Tito Ortiz.
Well, he wants to fight Tito
Yeah.
on Bellator. He wants a rematch. That first match. I'll tell you that first match shouldn't happen that time. He was going through like a rough time in his personal life. Like he lost his daughter. Like not long before that. Uh, the gym we were being into, we got a notice like 2 months to leave because they sold the building, and then we were like training in somebody's friend of mine's gym. It was really small, so we had to do the camp in there. So the structure wasn't properly, to run a camp like that. Uh, but Chell, he's a professional. He, if he signs up, to do something, no matter what, he'll be there. So he just like, no, I can't, I'm going. So he did the fight. Uh, I don't think his mind was there, that night for that fight. You know, he didn't do what we planned on it. He did his own thing. Um, and he wants like to fight Tito in you know
Yeah,
now
redemption. Yeah,
nowadays. Yeah, and I totally believe, like he can really beat Tito. Uh, he does still have, I believe, another 4 fights on his contract with Bellator.
yeah,
So we don't know yet what is the next. I believe that Bellator doesn't want Tito back, so that's kind of uh,
difficult.
uh, deal breaker. Yeah, there's a tons of other names in there in the 205 division. To Chael,
Mm.
do some good fights. I heard that Vitor Belfort was tweeting, like 3-4 weeks ago about fighting Chael and Bellator in Brazil if Bellator ever goes to Brazil. Yeah, I do like that one. You know
Yeah, me too. That sounds
that
good.
that will be yeah that will be they're like kind of same age range. They've been there for so many years. It's kind of hard like you get like a Chell to fight like 20 something years old that is up and coming. You know, I think it makes more sense to fight guys they already been there all that that also promotes the show even more.
Yeah,
So but definitely, Chell and Vitor, I would like to see that fight happening.
yeah, me too. Let's make it happen, baby.
Yeah,
What's been your greatest achievement in your career?
the greatest
Yeah,
in in MMA. I did get a heavyweight belt at the IFC International Fighting Championship in 2005. That's when I beat Aaron Brink. So after that fight, that's when I got my contract in UFC. Uh, I believe that is is the, the biggest in MMA. In Jiu Jitsu, then like I said before, I got almost everything that's possible. I don't think I'll have to suck it up and die without having an ADCC title.
mm,
But you can't have everything. Yeah.
that's true.
You gotta, yeah, exactly. But all the world championships, Pan Am's, nationals, grappling. I grappled in Europe, when I was living in Holland. I love those tournaments. When I was in Belgium International Grappling, and another one was near Paris in Grigny, I think. That was the name of the city. Uh, and that was like I like grappling in Europe, like they're like years kind of behind. You
Yeah,
go there and you feel like in the old days. So it's kind of interesting.
mm,
And yeah, and I really love European people. They're very welcoming. You know, uh, I like the culture. Food is amazing there.
yeah.
So,
I
yeah,
agree. I
they
agree.
they drive crazy like Brazilians. Another thing, when I was in England, so these guys took us at the airport, right, in London, and sort of driving to Liverpool. It was near Liverpool, right? And they pick us up in this two Range Rovers, and
Yeah,
then in the back seat, and then those guys, they're going like 180 kilometers an hour, in the freeway, in the highway. I was like, oh, like, okay, I like to, you know, go fast and everything. We drive pretty wild in Brazil, you know. But these guys, they're like over the top,
yeah.
They're just like, and the driver like driving and looking at me is like, it's like, yeah, man, I can hear you. Just keep your eye on the road, and you don't have to look at me while you're talking to me. Otherwise, just stop and I'll jump in the front seats. But they drive fast in England, man.
Yeah, well, we're not meant to, but we do. Yeah, we do have speed limits, but we tend to break them quite a lot. Um, Another quick question I just wanted to ask you really was what advice would you give to someone who's just starting out in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu? So sort of what advice would you give them? Say I came into your gym just starting. Yeah, what would you tell me?
It's all depend what is that person's goal. That you starting these days in jiu-jitsu. What's your goal? Like you want to just like do as an hobby. You want to be a grappler competitor, or you want to do that, to add to your MMA if you're an MMA fighter. So it will depend on those, and but um, whatever reason is, just expect, not to be easy. So you might find like some gyms, they go easier these days in jiu-jitsu, but the real like essence, of jiu-jitsu is not supposed to be easy. It's just like wrestling, you know, or boxing.
Yeah,
So it's
hard
it's not
work.
it's not like, yeah, hard work, So just be um be consistent in just like you gotta be uh, the word I believe is like perseverance.
Perseverance, yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Keep going,
So if you
even if you're getting beat and tapped and whatever. Don't let that dishearten you. If you keep putting your ass out there and trying.
because in the end of the day, whatever your goal is, it just depends on you. It doesn't depend on anybody else.
Hmm.
The coaches are there, to guide you, to show you, to share their knowledge and technique and everything. But this is it's on you to make it work for yourself. So is if you're not ready, to you think like other people will gonna get you up there, you know, without you putting a lot of work, is ain't happening.
Yeah,
Ain't happening. So you gotta really like put in you have to have a stronger mind than a stronger body. So
I think people underestimate as well, like or not underestimate, but people think like Brazilian jiu-jitsu is just a bit of wrestling on the floor, rolling around. It's not really that difficult. Oh yeah, just grabbing each other and pulling and choking a bit, and they don't see these like levels. Whereas like the other day, I was rolling around on the mats with one of my friends who does do jiu-jitsu, and I don't do any, but now I want to start taking it up as a hobby. And I was like, oh, just show me how easy it would be for you to just like choke me out and pull my arms and make me tap out basically. And he's been doing it for about 2 years now. And literally, I was playing around, and he's just every 5 seconds I'm going tap in, tap in, and he's just like, this is the level, like, and I think I can't remember what belt he is now. Only maybe blue, not that well, not that high up. I don't think. I don't know the rankings very well, so sorry, but yeah, he was just like making me look silly, and I thought, wow, like this is more difficult than I thought. I got him in a rear naked choke, and I had like my legs straight or bent. I can't remember. And he like wrapped his legs around my legs and like squeezed them, and I was like tapping him, like stop. I was like, how is this happening? I've got you in the choke, and you're making me tap you because you're doing something with my legs or ankles or whatever. It was very strange. So it made me really appreciate the sport even more, and realize how dangerous it can be, and how quick you can just make someone tap out or give up just from little sort of movements, and how they remain so calm as well. I think that's always a fascinating point. I'm like a little rat scurrying around, like trying to get out of all these places, and they're just breathing and calm and smooth, and yeah, it's crazy.
yeah, the best thing I think jiu-jitsu taught me uh, is or was, not to avoid problems in life.
Hmm.
But I remember before jiu-jitsu, like let's say that will be like an issue, try to dodge that, leave for later, not face it, hide from it, um, and then with jiu-jitsu, when you're there being choked, and being, all happening, on the mat, Like there's no one to help you but yourself. You know, there's no mom, no dad, no friend. You know, can jump in for you. So like you gotta find a way to deal with those hard times on the mat, and that's what you did for me. You know, that was probably the best thing jiu-jitsu did for me. To never not face things that like you're scared of, or you want to do later. It's like no, time to do this now, or never. So do it now. It's always the best. And also, training jiu-jitsu, like a lot of people sometimes they're like they got temper, they're hot-headed, so you start like dealing a lot better with those stuff. I'll give you
Yeah.
an example. I was in Brazil and I got involved in a car accident, and it was totally the other person's fault on that. So before the jiu-jitsu, I probably jump out of the car, start cussing the person, blaming, and or even get like a physical fight. You know, uh, so I jump out of the car, and now what's happening? That person like is cussing at me, trying to get in a fight with me. You know? Like, hey, calm down, like just look around, like hey, what you see, right? So it's totally you, like you messed it up, man, And anyway, it's two pieces of metal, right? That can be fixed. The one thing cannot be fixed, if you get in a physical fight and I start breaking your limbs, or even worse, because I will defend myself. So you get more, like a clear mind to deal with those kind of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, jiu-jitsu is one of those martial arts where striking, you strike, you can knock somebody out, right? Uh, you hardly maybe kill someone, with a punch or kick, unless you're like an athlete, and you punch someone that, is not built, to fight, like just a regular person. So
Yeah.
their bones structure will be a lot softer, than a fighter. But let's say, two persons, same kind of level, jiu-jitsu gives you the power of dealing with that person's life. Like when that guy was in your back, and choking you. Now, he has, the power to take your life or keep you alive, you know.
It's
So
mad.
one thing when I started in jiu-jitsu, that sense of power and overpower people, I'm not gonna lie, that makes you feel good, you know. So that like that person doesn't know any jiu-jitsu now wants to fight you, and then you can actually like look at them and it's like I could just kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's pretty easy. So you feel good about it, and the most the best feeling out of it is you're not gonna do it because you can,
Mm.
right? So that's when like you start getting like wiser, like then you start seeing like how fragile we are, and when you don't know anything like that, like someone just can kill you with the bare hands.
You got
So
nothing to prove
uh,
either, you know?
yeah, and then I know it's like what, like I I don't want to fight you, so many times like people sometimes try to get in a fight with me at a bar or something, and I look at them, it's like hey, you're the man, you'll probably beat my ass, right? So I rather have them, thinking that they can do it than, like, because I really don't have to prove, anything to those persons. I know what I'm capable to, you know. So, and jiu-jitsu gives you that, like like when jiu-jitsu and the person across the room with you doesn't know and that person wants to fight you, it's like, yeah, I know how powerful you are knowing those techniques, and then yeah, you don't have to prove anything, that maybe there are people, they're learning that just actually to use in the wrong way, you know. But even those people, later on, I think they will get wiser about what they do, because
Yeah.
there always gonna be someone doing the same to them. So I like when people they feel like oh, I'm the man. I can be a bully, whatever. There's always going to be someone, better than you, going to put you in a position where you're helpless. And if they can understand that feeling of being helpless, they're never going to do that to someone. They're never going to make someone feel helpless, because feeling helpless is probably the worst feeling that you can have. There's nothing what can help you. You feel like, what's going to happen? You
Yeah.
know. So
No, man. Well, we've been going for an hour and 5 minutes. I know you're on a schedule, so we can wrap this up if you want, if you're fine to do so.
yeah, my class is in 40 minutes, so I still have time. So it's up
Yeah.
to you.
No, no, we can keep going because there's a few more questions I had written out for you, anyways. So I was just going to also ask like how you deal with coaching different personalities. Has there ever been like anyone you feel you can't work with? Don't have to name drop, but people that come in, they don't really want to learn. They've got such a big ego or whatever. Just different personalities. How you work with them, basically.
Yeah, I coach since kids fighters, females, and they're like the easy ones to work with. There's someone they're like average, and there are difficult ones. But I'll tell you one thing. I haven't met yet a pro fighter that's like I just can't work with you. You know. But there are several amateur fighters. I had to ask them to leave the gym because it's just impossible to
Yeah, sure.
work with them.
Yeah.
And yeah, I believe that it has a lot to do with the new generation fighters. Most of them, they believe like hopping from one place to another is gonna get them up there. And I'm a believer that that doesn't work in that way. Uh, I'm not against the cross training. You know, I am a believer of like sometimes it's better to be like with some, like, it can be like a small camp, a small gym, whatever, but be with that camp, for a long period of time, right? Then like you're hopping from one place to another. That's like it really makes it a lot more difficult, because he mixed up a lot of things. Every coach, every camp, they have different styles, and sometimes like it'll be just too much.
Mm.
Sometimes you just stick with one style and you keep going that road, because if you're very well dedicated, like you'll make it happen. You see it. Back then there was not really like huge teams. Even now, uh, these huge, big teams, they are they like building someone from zero to be a champion, or they already get guys when they're like up there, and they move to their camp because they're a big camp, and they have more bodies in there and everything. That's what I see these days. Uh, these guys, they when they have like it's a smaller camp, they can have more attention from the coaches. They have like a more uh, personalized training for them. The bigger the camp will be, less attention you have, less eyes you have on you, right? And they can really, tell you like, hey, this is wrong, it shouldn't be there, you know. Uh, Even here, my camp is not big, compared to other places. Even here, I already kind of have, some hard time to keep, in every single one. So I have to kind of divide them in smaller groups, and bring them, in a different time, so I can really keep, my eye on those guys, and give them a better training, better um, attention, what they're doing. It's impossible to, like in a class of 30 people. yeah, hold up. Might don't see that person. I just show the technique. Is doing totally wrong.
Yeah.
I might, don't see that. So the bigger it is, uh, the room, sometimes the bigger the problem will be. Uh, so yeah, my uh, ego, I believe everybody has an ego. Some people they show that sometimes. Some people they don't. They hide. You know. I believe the ones sometimes they show their ego. It's easier to deal with the ones they don't
Yeah.
show that to you. The ones like you know uh, is just like a, let's say, a racist people, person. If she shows to you, she's racist, she doesn't like you. So I know that person is racist, she doesn't like me, so I'll stay away,
Mm.
right? Now, if someone is racist to you, and or to anyone, and they hide that, and they smile in your face, they pat your back, but that person that might do something to hurt you,
Mm.
because they're not showing their true
True
colors.
colors. Yeah.
So I like to see the true colors, the people. When I see, like I'm against the racist, racism, but you know, I'd rather see, that than not seeing the person, because they know, like, you're not in my circle, at
Yeah.
all. So the ego, and the fighters, I have no problem to deal with, uh, but let me know. What's your goals? Like, oh, you don't like to get punched in the face. That hurts your ego. So hey, you know what? You gotta train to not get punched in the face. Then otherwise, you're gonna be bitching about it. Every single day, right? So hey, let's get to work then. Oh, you don't like to get choked, right? Gotta work for it, man. Like, oh, your ego is too big. Like, I don't want to get choked. So yeah, that's the thing. uh, I the pros, they they're amazing. Um, the amateurs as well. It's only like I'll tell you, like, from a basket, full of apples, 50 apples. Sometimes you have one bad one. So that's okay. It's always gonna
Yeah.
be like that. It's just like I said, the new generation of fighters. I think they are, all this media these days. There's YouTube, everything. So much out there. And they think they can figure out those things by themselves. They're gonna become a UFC champion without needing any guidance. Like, yeah, that would be, maybe happen if you're like a John Jones. But like I said, it's not many people is gifted like that.
Yeah.
So if you're not gifted, you got to put in a lot of work. And even John Jones, I'm sure, like, he put in like a lot of tons of work. Even like being gifted like he is. So uh, yeah, I never had a, and that if there will be a point where the ego, is something, it's really like being, so I just asked him, it's like, hey, you gotta make your choice now. So what do you want? Do you want to stay here? You want to blend yourself into the team, or what? So what do you really want? It's better to maybe go look for a different coach, different teammates. Because MMA is only an individual sport when the gate is shut.
Yeah.
Before that, is a team sport still. So you do need teammates. You need people behind you. You need that. So you're not gonna win a fight, punching bags. You're not gonna win a fight, swimming, running, lifting weights. Otherwise, get all these CrossFitters, and throw them in a cage. They will win everything. Because they look good. They look in a good shape, right?
Yeah.
In everything, but that doesn't win the fight. There's a lot more involved. You do really need teammates, and sometimes you, you know, let that the natural process, filter it.
Mm.
because people ego, they really gonna be left alone, and then things start not going their way. They have only two choices, leave or stay, change, and you know, be part of it.
Yeah.
And I in my gym here, like uh, I'll tell you, the atmosphere here is great. A lot of people they have jiu-jitsu and MMA, right? Sometimes like back then it was like just like that kind of didn't work very well, and here everybody gets along. I tell my MMA fighters like, hey, you guys are the toughest one under this roof, so there's no way a grappler can really, face you in a fight. But that doesn't mean like you can be a, a dick to these guys, because they're doing their hobby in there. But just remember, those guys are the one buying the tickets to go watch you.
Yeah.
They're gonna be there cheering for you. They're gonna buy, things from your sponsor, right? So they the ones supporting your thing, your dream, right? So if you guys like, be dicks to these people, wearing a gi, doing their grappling just because you're an MMA fighter, you're a tough guy, like you'll be like the dumbest ass in the world. So
Yeah. Do you ever get nervous when your fighters compete?
say again.
Do you ever get nervous when your fighters compete?
A lot more than when I used to fight. Yeah, being on a side cage, it's just not easy. And also, but it's that kind of learning thing, So from the fighter to be a coach, then also you have to learn how to be a coach, So of course, in the very beginning, I've been this guy's corner, and I think Chael and Herman, these guys, there's some of the first ones I start, being a corner, and that was already like in the big shows, right? Like, it's like, yeah, you get nervous in there, but you can't let them notice that. All right, so you gotta be that cold kind of person, You gotta be their brains, because they're the muscle during the fight, And the coach, should be the brain there. Uh, yeah, it's I learned how to do a lot of things. I like to meditate, like the days before, the camp. And how do I do that, man? Like sometimes just sit like in a hotel window. I keep looking outside and I just disconnect from everything. I get in that stage. My wife, she says, like, I go into the nothing box, in my brain.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we
It's
have boxes. Yeah, do
meditation
nothing
is
box.
meditation is
So
like a vacation for the brain, basically. Like you're awake,
yeah,
but you're just away from everything, just chilling
yeah.
in your own peace, and does that, like, obviously I guess that helps you with your nerves for the fighters and so on, and I'm sure there's a few, maybe little breathing techniques and so on that you might do or whatever when meditating. I'm a massive fan of meditation myself. I try and meditate daily, and for me, I just close my eyes and just deep breathe and try and just let my mind kind of relax and zone out from
Mhm.
my worries and stresses. Um, so it's definitely powerful stuff. I mean, there's people out there that say, "Oh, I can't meditate. My brain's too active," and blah blah blah. And I'm like, that's probably why you should meditate, is to try and stop your brain from being like 1,000 miles per hour when we're nervous or having those anxious moments. That's when meditation can be great, is to like kind of stop that from happening and just focus on one thing and keep you calm.
You need to do that mental cleaning, and especially like before the fights. I do not like to watch fights, like during the week of the fight. Um, I I it get my brain, to start thinking too much, and I don't want to think about, like too much. Like we have a game plan set up, We did the training, and that's like I should be just focused on that. They start watching other people fight, then it comes to the oh, what if that happened in a fight? It's like shit, we didn't work on that one, like what everything happened in the fight, and it doesn't really matter. Uh, your fighter pretty much is gonna lose that fight if you cannot put, our game on.
Mm.
So it's like you have to really make, the opponent fight your fight. If you're fighting his fight, yeah, he's gonna win for sure. Uh, but I do like when I get into the arena, go out there and watch a couple of fights. If my fighter is not like the first one, second one, whatever, uh, I go out there and I watch. That relaxes me. The live fighting.
Yeah.
I go there and I see the coaches. They're in the in. I always like, yeah, they're doing that. Yeah, we can do it too. So
I
because
think it gives you something
as
to occupy your brain on as well, doesn't it? Rather than thinking about your fighter that's going to go out there and have a game plan, you're just kind of watching
yeah.
everyone else and soaking up the atmosphere.
Yeah, it's kind of started with me, like this thing of go out there and watch a little bit. Because way back then, when I started, in jiu-jitsu, like when you're like in some grappling match, and then you're not winning, you're like behind and score whatever, and then during the fight you ask yourself like, why the hell I choose this for myself? What I'm doing here? I could be home. I could be hanging out. I could be drinking beer now. What am I doing here? Right. So you ask those questions. So as a coach, yeah, you have the same kind of feeling. Like you're inside the hotel room. Like all those things happening, media. Then your fighter. Cutting weight. They go sometimes it's overwhelming, and you have to be there. You can't tell if I like go f yourself, I'm out, can't do those things. So you ask yourself like, why did I pick this thing? Like everybody just see on TV what they want to see, just the good part, but yeah, we ask ourselves like, why did I pick this thing for me? Like I could have some different thing to do, like not so stressful, and so when I go out there, before the fight, it's like the fight's already going live, and I watch that, and like I always tell myself, if that guy can do it, I can do it. Yeah. So like yeah, so that inspires me. I believe like someone can do that thing. It's like, yeah, I can do as well.
Mm.
I just cannot play football.
We could
So
stick you in goal, you'd be all right. Make a
yeah,
good, good,
but
good goalkeeper.
yeah. Um, so those are like we could fight. Being a fighter's corner is if a coach tells you he doesn't suffer for his fight in a loss, you know, is not being truthful, I believe, when they win, yeah, I get to celebrate. Uh, but, I'm already like thinking, what's the next, what, is going to be the next, so already thinking ahead because that fighter that night, he won, right? And he's all happy. His next fight will be like 3, 4, 5, 6 months. I don't know. But I have another fight next week. So I'm already, on that mental process, So for the coach, yeah, is a lot of accumulation, So you get like one storm after another. So you have to learn how to deal with that. Uh, I'll be honest. Like a couple of years ago, I let all those emotions get into me like too hard. I was too like getting not too personal. I started like feeling too much. Like they will lose, and I was like, man, maybe I'm not a good coach. Maybe I'm ruining these people's life. I should just step away and let them, pick somebody else. Because I'm not being capable. But then I look, I go through our board and I look like the wins, losses, and we are up to over 70% win rate. Like, well, I don't think I'm doing a bad job here because like any gym, if you're 50% and above, you're doing good. You
Yeah.
know, so and we're we're there. It's like I have to keep telling myself, like, hey, keep going. You're doing good because I don't have anyone, to like telling me
Pat
like
you on the
that.
back. Yeah.
I'm the one making the decisions. I'm the one taking the risk and taking the responsibility. To put the coaches, the camp, everything. Things works well, great. Is everyone's work. If it doesn't work, well, probably is the head coach's fault. So yes, I have to like um, constantly check like how's my work, how's uh, how are we going, are we winning here, winning there, losing here, losing there. We had three big losses, in the big stages, before the end of the year. But we started the whole year last year, like great, and it's just like the last 2 months. Chael lost his fight, and then Brent Primus lost the title, and Ed Herman lost his fight, and then like, all right, something we gotta do, to change, So I changed some pieces here and there, work-based camp. So we kick off, 2019 very well, so winning the big stage, in a good fashion. So hopefully, like we can keep up with Ricky Simon next week,
Yeah.
So it's a tough fight, that running is not easy. It's very tricky, I believe we can pull the win. Um, and but yeah, I'm constantly checking, like how am I doing as a coach? Everything, is never. Uh, I can, the only time maybe I relax, is when I'm home, weekends, my family, my wife and kid, that I can relax. But even there, sometimes, my wife has to tell me, it's like, get off the phone, That's, because if I'm on the phone, it's mostly related to work,
Yeah.
you know. So, but
Yeah.
I'm happy when she does that, So
Yeah. Spending time with the family is important, man, and good for the brain to just relax, forget about work, and chill with the important things.
yeah.
Um, Cool. Well, we've been on for an hour and pretty much an hour and a half, which is flown by. I don't. I said. I think. I feel like 2 minutes ago I said to you it'd been an hour, and now 28 minutes has just it's just flown by. So thank you for your time and everything for coming on. Um, feel free to advertise yourself now, where people can find you if they want to contact you. The floor is yours, my friend.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate. I'll tell you, it's my first time in a podcast, ever.
Smashed it,
So
man. I took your podcast virginity.
yeah, and I have like so much stories, about Japan and everything that we could stay here for 6 hours, So that it probably will be entertaining.
Yeah. No,
But
I'd be
like we
sorry, yeah, I'd love to have you on again to talk more stories and that. It'd be great. That would be cool.
yeah, yeah, and anytime that I'm glad to, happy
Come on
to.
again. Yeah, no, that'd be
Yeah,
cool. And obviously people can find you on Instagram and are you on Twitter as well?
yeah. So it's really easy. Fabiano Scherner, on Twitter, Instagram, same, Facebook. My name is unique, so
Very true.
cannot find another Fabiano Scherner in the world. That's a good thing. So pretty easy.
Brilliant, man. I'll talk to you off camera for a minute if you've got a spare minute or 30 seconds. And thank you for coming on.
Thank you.